I read it like 9 times today. I ripped out my old Constitution. Not the actual. I'm not like this isn't like a. It's not like a national treasure type situation. I rolled through the Constitution, read every one of the amendments over and over again, and for the life of me, I just don't see it. I don't see the part in the Constitution where it says you have the right to a late night talk show. It's not anywhere in there. If anyone can point it out to me, please let me know, and I'll keep looking. Like, again, I'm no lawyer, but I did get waitlisted from one of the finest law schools in the country. And I have a pretty good grasp on what the Constitution says because, well, I read it a lot. And I don't remember. I know that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. I know. In fact, you know what? Here, let me just read it. Let me read it to you live one more time for all of you people that say Jimmy Kimmel's getting a raw deal. Let me read it here one more time. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Doesn't say anything at all about what ABC is going to do. It doesn't say ABC shall make no laws. ABC can do whatever the heck they want. Remember, the same freedom of speech that allows you to say terrible, horrible, no good, very bad things about Charlie Kirk and the murder, the assassination, the carnage that took his life, the same freedom of speech that allows that also allows you to lose your job. And that's something that is, that's something that's happening every single day. And Jimmy Kimmel here is just the latest in a long line of what I hope will be a lot of media personalities who will have to finally pay the piper, much like listen, I've been there, right? I got fired. I got fired for my speech. I got fired because I said things that the company the private entity that I worked for didn't like. And I said, tough. I didn't kowtow to them. I didn't say, no, you're right. I didn't say I'm going to stop talking about Donald Trump. I said, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And then they said, we don't like your kind. We don't like conservatives. This company, we may promote conservative ideals. We may have Sean Hannity on the show. We may have at one time been the home of the late, great Rush Limbaugh. But we are not a conservative talk radio network. We are a bunch of Hollywood liberals, and we want somebody more moderate. So see, you wouldn't want to be you. That's basically what happened to me. And I didn't get angry about it. I got angry about it, but again, I didn't go out there and I said, look, that is your right. You own the company. I own a company. I'm a business owner, and I don't want the government telling me what I can and can't do with my company. I don't want somebody coming in and saying you have to have Jimmy Kimmel on the air because of some freedom of speech nonsense. There's no freedom of speech argument to be made. The First Amendment protects your freedom of speech, and that is exactly what ABC was. ABC did not stomp on the First Amendment. They exercised the First Amendment. And that's why liberals are so mad. Here, by the way, is Jimmy Kimmel the other night saying horrible things about Charlie Kirk, and also saying that wrongly so, and this is the real problem, wrongly pointing to a MAGA conservative as the killer.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of a friend. This is how
of the amendments.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that was Jimmy Kimmel, and that was him just wiping his butt with the memory of Charlie Kirk and lying to America. Whoever watches the show, he was basically lying to him, saying, "Hey, this was MAGA killing one of their own." It wasn't that at all. And as a result, ABC ABC took action into their own hands. You know who didn't take it well? I mean, besides Jimmy Kimmel, was Don Lemon. Don Lemon, who also got canceled by CNN and is now resorting to doing the Don Lemon show, which I don't even know if anyone watches that. But here's Don Lemon's reaction to Jimmy Kimmel last night.
Jimmy Kimmel, they're trying to cancel Jimmy Kimmel. I'm sure you've heard the news by now. But I've been going through the internet looking for the clips to see what they're mad or upset about, and I can't find it. I can't find it. The one that they have on there, I don't see where that's even controversial. The guy's a comedian. This is the same party, the same group of people who complained about everything is too woke. Comedians can't say anything anymore. They're killing comedy. The folks who are complaining about killing comedy are killing comedy.
All right, wait a minute. Are we really calling Jimmy Kimmel a comedian? Is that what we're doing? We're trying to equate Jimmy Kimmel to comedy? Jimmy Kimmel gave up comedy long ago. Jimmy Kimmel abandoned comedy when he became a political propagandist. He started as a comedian, sure. He did the Man Show. I know he did that thing, the game show with the old guy and the money. Then he got into his nighttime talk show, which was comedic for a while until he got Trump derangement syndrome and he decided, I'm going to be a mouthpiece for the Joe Biden administration. I'm going to be a party propagandist for the Democrats. And when he did that, well, all bets were off.
Folks who are complaining about canceling people are canceling people. What does that tell you? That they don't believe in anything that they're saying, that they've said. That they have no core. All it is if it doesn't fit their particular ideology or belief, then they don't want to hear it.
If it doesn't fit their particular ideology or belief, then they don't want to hear it, Don Lemon says about Republicans. And also Mark Zuckerberg said about Democrats. Let's flash back to the Meta founder, Mark Zuckerberg. Before he was making $800 Meta glasses, Mark Zuckerberg was on with Joe Rogan explaining how the Democrats under Joe Biden would call him up and send him emails and force him, demand, threaten, and blackmail him to remove content that they felt was, negative.
They pushed us super hard to take down things that were true, right? I mean, they basically pushed us and said, anything that says that vaccines might have side effects, you basically need to take down. And I was just like, well, we're not going to do that. Like, we're clearly not going to do that. I mean, that is kind of inarguably true.
Who is they? Who's telling you to take down things that
it was
that talk about vaccine side effects?
It was people in the Biden administration. I think these people from the Biden administration would call up our team and scream at them and curse, and it's like,
the people from the Biden administration would call up our team and scream and curse and demand that we take down posts and information about vaccines maybe not being as effective as they think, or maybe not being as effective as they say. And the Biden people hated it. The Biden people were like, oh, no, you didn't. You did not. You're taking that down right now. This is government censorship. This is a violation of the First Amendment. When you have government officials calling up Zuckerberg and Twitter and elsewhere and saying, take these things down immediately, that is a First Amendment violation. What happened with Jimmy Kimmel was ABC got complaints from its viewers that they didn't want to watch anymore. ABC got complaints from its syndicators saying, we're not syndicating this garbage. We don't like it. And when private entities make choices to protect their bottom line and their company integrity, that's not a freedom of speech violation. That is just good management. And that's exactly what happened. Sinclair, Nexstar, these are companies, because I'm not going to get into a whole explanation of how the media works, but let me get into a whole explanation of how the media works. You've got ABC, but they don't own every ABC station. The ABCs, the stations that you watch are owned by other media companies, and they syndicate ABC's programming. They become affiliates of ABC. Well, some companies have a lot of affiliates, 200, 300 stations. Some of them have 50 or 100. And these affiliates have a lot of power. So when an affiliate like Sinclair Media or Nexstar, when they come forward and say, Jimmy Kimmel is spouting lies about MAGA. Jimmy Kimmel is insulting people who voted for President Donald Trump. Jimmy Kimmel is smearing the good name of a Christian conservative man that millions and millions of Americans love and are tormented by, after seeing his death, his execution by somebody on the liberal left, live on television, live on the internet, live in person, 3,000 people live in person. When a syndicator says, we don't like Jimmy Kimmel and we're not going to air him anymore, that is not a violation of free speech. That is the exercising of free speech. That is a private company saying we are making a choice not to air this programming, because that's the other thing about free speech. It doesn't just promote or cover or protect what you say. It also protects what you don't say. It doesn't just protect your speech. It protects your silence. And you can say, I have the right to say this, air this, promote this. You also have the right to not say this, not air this, not promote this. And can't nobody take it away from you. I know so because, well, I read the Constitution of the United States of America several times. Many people on the left have not just Don Lemon. Not just Don Lemon. Look at this. Chuck Schumer apparently has no. Chuck Schumer is he's the minority leader in the Senate. The guy's been an elected official since like well before I was born, I think. Maybe not, but since I was born. This guy used to go to 3 martini lunches with Joe Biden when Joe Biden was a senator. That's how old this guy is. He's been the majority leader in the House. He's been representing the people of New York for decades. This guy is one of the most powerful legislators we have, and he clearly is unclear on what the Constitution says.
Senator Schumer, your reaction to this?
It is outrageous. It's a page right out of Xi's playbook. This is just despicable, disgusting, and against democratic values. Trump and his allies seem to want to shut down speech that they don't like to hear. That is not what democracies do. That is what autocracies do. And it doesn't matter whether you agree with Kimmel or not. He has the right to free speech. And so it is just outrageous. It is indicative of autocracy, and I am just outraged by it. Again, this is what dictators do. This is what Xi would do. This is what Putin would do. We are not that country.
Okay, he says that autocrats will shut down free speech. He says autocrats are this is dictatorial. This is right out of Xi's playbook. We do not shut down free speech. Jimmy Kimmel has the freedom of speech, the right to say whatever he wants, and only an autocratic dictator would try to pretend otherwise.
They pushed us super hard to take down things that were true, right? I mean, they basically pushed us and said, anything that says that vaccines might have side effects, you basically need to take down. And I was just like, well, we're not going to do that. Like, we're clearly not going to do that. I mean, that is kind of inarguably true.
Who is they? Who's telling you to take down things that
it was
talk about vaccine side effects?
It was people in the Biden administration.
But wait, that's autocratic. That's dictatorial. Chuck Schumer just called Joe Biden a dictator. Chuck Schumer just got out there and said suppressing free speech, suppressing information, threatening people, not allowing folks to exercise their freedom of speech as protected by the First Amendment. That's something a dictator would do. And Joe Biden did it, so Chuck Schumer just called him a dictator. I mean, I agree. I 100% agree. I agree that that's something that a dictator would do. I agree that that's something that an autocrat would do, but that is not what happened here. Because the last time I checked, ABC was not an elected official. ABC was not a governing body of the United States of America. ABC has... Hold on, I'm hearing something. I'm hearing voices. I'm hearing my own voice. Oh no, I got to turn down. I was like, who's talking? Oh wait, that sounds like me. ABC is not an elected official. They're not a branch of government. They're a private organization and they can do whatever they want. And fun fact, do you know who else was a proponent of private organizations like ABC and Fox News doing whatever they wanted with their programming and lineup? Jimmy Kimmel, because you may remember there was a time when Jimmy Kimmel was on the other side of this and he celebrated, for example, Tucker Carlson getting fired from Fox News.
Fox News has severed bow ties with Tucker Carlson. After all these years, they are parting ways, which means he was fired. I mean, that's really what parting ways means. Tucker couldn't be reached for comment. He's already on a plane to Moscow to meet with his manager. But what a shock. I mean, what an absolutely delightful shock this is. Now Tucker can spend more time at home tanning his testicles and touching himself to that sexy green M&M. Sadly, he's probably not done poisoning old people's brains. The question now is, where will he do it next? Will he go to OAN? Will he go to Newsmax? Will he crawl back up Satan's fiery beehole from whence he came? We don't know. One of the most despicable mother Tuckers ever to appear on American television.
Yeah, that was Jimmy Kimmel celebrating the firing of Tucker Carlson for exercising his free speech. He did it with Roseanne Barr, too, who, guess what, exercised her free speech.
On the subject of terrible things posted online, the biggest story of the day today was Roseanne. Roseanne, you're not going to believe this, but she tweeted something outrageous. I know, yeah, right. The president did it too. It's crazy. Anyway, ABC decided to cancel their highest-rated show, Roseanne, following a tweet in which Roseanne compared an African-American woman, a former advisor to President Obama, to an ape, which did not sit well with ABC management or anyone with a brain, really. So they announced that this first season of the show is also its last, which is a huge blow to business. I mean, we don't have much on this network. We're hoping the NBA Finals goes 11 games this year. We're still airing America's Funniest Home Videos, okay? Roseanne was a very bigly hit for ABC, and we needed it. But I say, why just listen, hear me out. Just because Roseanne is gone doesn't mean the whole show has to go. The show must go on. That's what we say in show business. And with that said, I have an idea that I think makes this work for everyone.
America's favorite working class family is back. With all the cast members you love.
Hey, Dad. Mr. Conrad, sir. Hi. How are you doing?
Coming to ABC this fall.
Yeah, that job, turns out it fell through.
Dan.
Yeah, that was Jimmy Kimmel celebrating Roseanne getting fired from ABC for exercising her First Amendment rights. ABC exercised their First Amendment rights by getting rid of her, and Jimmy Kimmel was thrilled. Fox News fired Tucker Carlson for the same reason, and Jimmy Kimmel was thrilled. Jimmy Kimmel gets fired but for the same reason, and apparently Jimmy Kimmel's not happy. I've heard that Jimmy Kimmel is livid. Jimmy Kimmel is so mad. Jimmy Kimmel is let's see, I want to see. Here it was. Jimmy Kimmel was livid. He was mad. He was so mad. He's going after ABC. He's trying to get out of his contract, and he's trying to get other famous celebrities to not go on other ABC shows like The View. Federal Communications Chair Brendan Carr, by the way, told CNBC that ABC late night show host Jimmy Kimmel appeared to mislead the American public about facts regarding Charlie Kirk's killing in the days leading up to his show's suspension. ABC on Wednesday said it was pulling Jimmy Kimmel live off the air. Carr also told CNBC's Squawk on the Street that we're not done yet with the changes in the media ecosystem that are consequences of President Donald Trump's election last fall. ABC on Wednesday night said it was pulling Jimmy Kimmel live off the air indefinitely because of the host's comments, which linked Kirk's alleged killer, Tyler Robinson, to Trump's Make America Great Again movement. The issue that arose here, where lots and lots of people were upset, was not a joke, Carr said Thursday on CNBC. It was not making fun of him, said Carr, who hours before Kimmel's show was pulled off the air suggested the FCC might take action against ABC and its parent company Disney. It was appearing to directly mislead the American public about a significant fact that probably one of the most significant political events we've had in a long time, for the most significant political assassination we've seen in a long time. Basically, Jimmy Kimmel was using the public, because ABC is a public, it's not cable. It's It's not Fox News. FCC can't do diddly squat about Fox News. You know why? It's not a network. It's a cable station. Same thing with Newsmax. Same thing with, I don't know, whatever, Bravo and Logo and BET and whatever. If it's on cable, you're not able to do anything if you're the FCC. But if you are federally licensed like ABC, CBS, and NBC, then hey, guess what? You've got to play by the rules of the FCC or risk losing your license. And if you use your network to directly mislead people, if you get up there and say, hey guys, welcome to my comedy show, but first, let me lie to you about a specific and very intensive political assassination. Let me lie to you about one of the most historically significant political events in our time frame. I'm going to lie to you and tell you that the person who did this it wasn't a trans liberal who hated Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson and Charlie Kirk and thought they were all fascists. It wasn't someone like that. It was a MAGA supporter. It was a conservative. It was one of Donald Trump's own. It was probably a Charlie Kirk supporter that did it. Done in by one of them. And they're out there spinning it. He told two lies. First, he lied and said that Tyler Robinson, the alleged assassin, was MAGA. Second thing he lied about was how the right was trying to spin it that it wasn't one of their own. That's two lies. That's two pieces of misinformation, and that's two pieces of misinformation too many for a quote-unquote comedy show. So Kimmel brought this upon himself, and ABC had to deal with, their affiliates. They had to deal with their income. They had to deal with their bottom line, so they pulled the plug on, you know what? If he just listened to Johnny Carson, somebody posted this clip about Johnny Carson, and I think it's apropos.
Tell me the last time that Jack Benny, Red Skelton, Benny comedian, used his show to do serious issues. That's not what I'm there for. Can't they see that? But you're not. Why do they think that just because you have a Tonight Show that you must deal in serious issues? That's a danger. It's a real danger. Once you start that, you start to get that self-important feeling that what you say has great import. And strangely enough, you could use that show as a forum. You could sway people, and I don't think you should as an entertainer.
I don't think you should. You could use that show to sway people, and I don't think you should as an entertainer. You get a self-importance, a sense of import. You believe that what you say is more important than other people, and look what happens. You get the plug pulled on you. You get a real shock to the system when you abuse your privilege of being on television, not your right. There's no right to a late night talk show. If every American had the right to a late night talk show, then every American would have a late night talk show. I know I would, but it's not in there. Nowhere does it say Congress shall make no law abridging your freedom to have a late night talk show. And Congress was not involved in this process at all. And Jimmy Kimmel is furious and angry and livid, and he should be furious and angry and livid at himself. CNN's also furious, angry, and livid because they probably know they're next.
Go ahead. I'm interested because are they sending everyone home? What's happening on the scene? The show would have been taping within the next hour, so people would be there. Yes, this is very abrupt, very abrupt.
And this is all about jawboning. It's all about public pressure. Actually revoking FCC licenses is extremely difficult. I wrote about this last fall when candidate Donald Trump was talking on the campaign trail about wanting to punish stations by taking away their licenses. And throughout the history of the country, ever since we've had broadcast television, license revocations are extraordinarily rare. Once you've got one, you're pretty much guaranteed to keep it. So the threat is not that the FCC is actually going to take away a license. It's about the public noise. It's about the shame and embarrassment. It's about Brendan Carr going on podcasts and embarrassing ABC. There's a term for this. It's jawboning, and that's what we've seen happen today in a very real way. Trump vowed retribution on the campaign trail, and he's getting it. He's getting it against entertainers and comedians. But Aaron, for every reaction, there is a counter reaction. Stephen Colbert has already been joking about getting hired somewhere else. those jokes mask a very real intention, right? Yeah. Where will he get picked up instead? If Kimmel parts ways with ABC, and again, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Kimmel's contract is coming due soon. Kimmel will probably end up somewhere else. And if big, old-fashioned mainstream media companies don't have the guts to employ these people, then we're going to see startups start to flourish. You know, we talk about the Substack era with people launching newsletters and live streams on YouTube. We're going to see more of that if these old-fashioned media companies can't stand a little bit of pressure from the president.
Yeah. So basically what he's saying is they're all going to start podcasts. That's exactly what he's saying. He's saying Jimmy Kimmel is going to start a podcast. Stephen Colbert, he's going to start a podcast. All these people, you know what it is? It's all these old school media companies. They just can't take the pressure. So what they're going to do is these startups are going to start flourishing. Look, I'm all about that, and I'm all for it. And in fact, I have been preaching the benefits of alternative media for a long time. In fact, let me pause for just one moment to remind you that on Tuesday, I will be hosting. And if Jimmy Kimmel's free on Tuesday night, which I believe he is, he should definitely make it a point to join me for my next Podcast Profits live event. Launch your money-making podcast in just 1 hour without a studio, tech skills, or a huge online following. And fun fact, right now, Jimmy Kimmel doesn't have any of those things. He may actually have tech skills. I don't know, but I know he doesn't have a studio, and I know he doesn't have a huge online following. If you would like to join me and learn how you can be part of what Brian Stelter calls the new startup, the new medium, then you should. You should do just that. Launch your own money-making podcast in just 1 hour. I'm going to show you how. And I can show you how because I have not just one money-making podcast. I have two that I produce daily and that fund my entire lavish lifestyle. The link to visit is podcastprofitspro.com. It's also conveniently listed in the description of this video if you would like to go see it for yourself. It's free. It's free to go. You don't have to pay a gosh darn cent. It's all free for you, and I hope to see you there. That's next Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, podcastprofitspro.com. But look, they were right about something else too. This was abrupt. This came down very quickly. The FCC chair, Brendan Carr, said we may go after ABC's licenses because they're misinforming the people. Then ABC got letters from Sinclair, the syndication partner, and Nexstar, the syndication partner. They said we're pulling Jimmy Kimmel's show off the air, and guess what we're going to do? In fact, you know what? Let me see. I'm going to pull this up because I want to read. This is the way I think businesses should run. Sinclair sent a letter to ABC. Here it is. I'm going to read this to you because this is how. If you're a Chick-fil-A, if you're a business that puts God first, if you're a business rather that believes in public good above profit, then I want you to listen to this letter. This is from Sinclair. As Sinclair's ABC stations to air a special in remembrance of Charlie Kirk during Jimmy Kimmel Live's time slot on Friday, Maryland, September 17, 2025. Sinclair, the nation's largest ABC affiliate group, objects to recent comments made by Mr. Kimmel concerning the assassination of Charlie Kirk. As discussed with ABC earlier today, Sinclair decided to indefinitely preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live, beginning tonight, meaning yesterday. Following these discussions, ABC has suspended production of Jimmy Kimmel Live. I mean, if your largest syndicator ain't going to air the show, you don't need to be spending money on it. Mr. Kimmel's remarks were inappropriate and deeply insensitive at a critical moment for our country, said Vice Chairman Jason Smith. We believe broadcasters have a responsibility to educate and elevate respectful, constructive dialogue in our communities. We appreciate FCC Chairman Carr's remarks today, and this incident highlights the critical need for the FCC to take immediate regulatory action to address control held over local broadcasters by the big national networks. Sinclair's ABC stations will air a special in remembrance of Charlie Kirk this Friday during Jimmy Kimmel's live time slot. The special will also air across all Sinclair stations this weekend. In addition, Sinclair is offering the special to all ABC affiliates across the country. Look at that. They're like, we're not going to gatekeep this. We're going to make this special for Charlie Kirk. We're going to air it in place of Jimmy Kimmel. And if any ABC affiliate, not just the ones we own, but any of them want to air it, dadgummit, we're going to let you. We're going to let you do it. Sinclair, this is my favorite part, by the way. Sinclair will not lift the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live on our stations until formal discussions are held with ABC regarding the network's commitment to professionalism and accountability. Sinclair also calls upon Mr. Kimmel to issue a direct apology to the Kirk family. Furthermore, we asked Mr. Kimmel to make a meaningful personal donation to the Kirk family and Turning Point USA. So Sinclair's like, look, you got to issue an apology directly to the family. We want you to make a donation to the Kirk family's trust fund, and we want you to make a significant donation to Turning Point USA. Now, Sinclair knows gosh darn well Jimmy Kimmel ain't doing none of this. So they're basically pulling the plug on his show. Regardless of ABC's plans for the future of the program, Sinclair intends not to return Jimmy Kimmel Live to our air until we are confident that appropriate steps have been taken to uphold the standards expected of a national broadcast platform. National. And that's the key to this entire thing. It is a national broadcast platform. It is licensed by the FCC. You want to go on Bravo? You want to go on Logo? You want to go on Pogo or Nickelodeon or any of those other platforms and say this kind of stuff? Have at it. Those are not national platforms. You want to go on any of those stations and do this kind of stuff? Go for it. Keep in mind, you'll probably get sued by the Kirk family, by Turning Point USA, by Donald. Who knows who's going to sue you? But at least you won't have to worry about your license being revoked. And look, Brian Stelter's right. They're not going to take away ABC's license. It's jawboning, but jawboning is not illegal. It's not illegal for the FCC chairman to say, we're looking into it. Donald Trump does this all the time. Donald Trump says, well, we're looking into that. Donald Trump says, we're looking into it. Are you going to call Antifa a terrorist organization? Well, we're looking into that. Fun fact, he is, and he did. We'll get to that story here in just, I don't want to get ahead of myself. And the biggest problem is that instead of politicians realizing that the chickens have come home to roost, instead of these politicians realizing that they sowed this discord so long, and now Donald Trump and the Republicans are cleaning it all up, that this is not the bastardization of the Constitution. This is the reset of our republic. This is not our democracy, as they like to call it, which is wrong. This is not Chuck Schumer saying our democracy is being destroyed by Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump and the Republicans saying this is how our republic should work. This is how a free market system works. You can go on there and say terrible, horrible, no good things about Charlie Kirk, and you can praise the person who killed him, and you can mislabel him as a member of the Republican Party when he's clearly not, and that's fine. But you're going to pay with your job because the company you work for also has rights, and that is something Chuck Schumer forgot. Eric Swalwell also, this guy, I got to tell you, man, do you remember he went to the grocery store and was buying foreign cheese for $14 a pound and trying to complain that Donald Trump was causing the prices? He's buying slabs of artisan Gruyere for $14, and he's like, look at these outrageous cheese prices. Talk to me when you grab a stack of, Kraft Singles or Velveeta. But anyway, he went on the news wearing a Jimmy Kimmel hat.
Yeah, Congressman, I see you are wearing a hat. What does that hat say?
You're damn right I am, John. I was a guest on the Jimmy Kimmel show. He, every night.
All right there. Okay, right there. That shows you right there. Jimmy, that's it. Any show, comedy show, entertainment show, variety show, any show that has Eric Swalwell as a guest is not an entertainment show. It's not a talk show, a variety show. It's not what late night was supposed to be. Johnny Carson was 100% right. Do not talk about serious issues. Definitely don't have Eric Swalwell on your show, because if you put Eric Swalwell on TV, you will get canceled. Eric Swalwell has no business on what is supposed to be an entertaining program. You want to bring on all the Hollywood celebrities and the musicians. You want to have Travis Kelce on and give him dating advice or whatever. You want to have, I don't know, the cast of the summer I got sexy. No, the summer I made love, turned pretty. Yeah, have them up, whatever you want. Have all those people on. But if you start bringing in Eric Swalwell, who's not only a far left-wing lunatic, Trump-hating Chinese spy sleeping with liberal, but he's also not even funny.
Has a right to come into any house that wants to watch and entertain Americans, just as Greg Gutfeld on Fox has a right to be not funny and go on his network.
Okay, by the way, I'm going to restart this from the beginning. First of all, it's Greg Gutfeld. He knows that. He's just trying to be a jerk. But let me play this for you from the beginning, because everything he says is so misrepresentative of the truth.
Yeah, Congressman, I see you are wearing a hat. What does that hat say?
You're damn right I am, John. I was a guest on the Jimmy Kimmel show. He, every night, has a right to come into any house that wants to watch and entertain Americans.
He doesn't. That's not a right. He doesn't have that right. You do not have the right to have a nationally syndicated late night talk show. That is not your right. That is a privilege. If you are able to convince people somehow that you are funny enough to lead this very important, or at one time really important, block of television time, if you can convince ABC News, yes, I'm the guy that should take over for whoever was on before, I don't even remember. I'm the guy, I'm the next Johnny Carson, I'm the next David Letterman, I'm the guy. If you can convince somebody of that, and if they hire you and give you a contract and pay you millions of dollars to do it, then that is your privilege. Not your right. There's no rights whatsoever. You do not have that right. And if you abuse it, or if you misuse it, or if your company says, you know what, we no longer want you in charge of our show, then that's their right. Eric Swalwell would be better off not to. Eric Swalwell is basically misleading the public, but he's from California, so he'll just keep getting reelected.
Greg Gutfeld on Fox has a right to be not funny and go on his network and entertain Americans. It's a part of who we are, John, and frankly, it should shake every American that the President of the United States is out there firing comedians who make fun of him.
Okay, that is not, come on. The President of the United States is firing comedians who make fun of him? How does, by the way, this idiot, I forget his name, I never know who this guy is on CNN, should have cut him off right there. Donald Trump is firing comedians who make fun of him. Donald Trump did not even fire the Fed chair. So let's talk about who's really a dictator. Let's really talk about who's abusing their power. Donald Trump didn't even fire the Fed chair, Jerome Powell. He called him too late. He said he's too late in cutting the Fed rate. He should be fired. He should quit. He's spending billions of dollars on this Fed building remodel, which is way over budget. He said all of those things, sure. He said he's unqualified. He said, I'd rather have this person. He never fired him. And he was well within his right to do so. Donald Trump did not fire Jimmy Kimmel because Jimmy Kimmel didn't work for the Trump administration. No matter how many jokes you see about Marco Rubio going, great, now I have to host late night. Donald Trump does not make hiring decisions at ABC. And Eric Swalwell wants you to believe that he does.
That is not who we are, and every American should care and stand up to this.
Yeah. Eric's, I mean, look, whether it's Chuck Schumer or Eric Swalwell or, you know, all these other people, there are some people I'd like to point out in Congress who do know what's up. Rand Paul, for example, let me tell you the story about Rand Paul. Years ago during COVID, we had Rand Paul on the show. It was the radio show, Mark K show, and we had him call in and we were live streaming our show as we usually do because we were cutting edge. Anything that our company did, they learned from us. No one live streamed their radio shows until I did it. Nobody was on Snapchat or TikTok until I was in the radio industry. No talk radio professionals ever played games or made jokes on the Republican side until we started doing it. And now everyone does it because they realize, well, that's the thing to do. So we had Rand Paul on, and Rand Paul, we were live streaming on YouTube. And Rand Paul said, I asked him a question about masks. Now, keep in mind, Rand Paul was not only an elected member of the Senate, a former presidential candidate, but Rand Paul is also a medical doctor. And I asked Rand Paul a question about masks, and Rand Paul answered it. And the folks at Google didn't like the answer, so they demonetized my channel. And Rand Paul posted the video on his channel as well, and it got taken down. Now, I argued at the time that that was YouTube's right. Still is. They are a private company. They're a private company, and they have a list of terms and services that they interpreted one way. And so I said, all right, I get it. Rand Paul said, all right, we get it. I started over. I started a new YouTube channel, and now I'm very clear on the terms terms of service. I'm very clear on what YouTube takes offense at. And yes, the thing, it's all lightened up ever since we found out the truth about what Rand Paul was saying, ever since we found out the truth about COVID and some of these other practices, ever since we found out the truth about, the election and election integrity, and ever since Donald Trump got back to office, man, there's people, the fact checkers are gone from Facebook, for example. That's a huge boon for freedom of speech, because the fact checkers weren't fact checkers. They were just people with opposite opinions who were given a red pen from the social media companies to just strike down whatever content they deemed inappropriate. We've come so far. But Rand Paul, even after Rand Paul has been attacked and doxxed and demonetized and canceled, still says, look, this has nothing at all to do with the Constitution of the United States of America.
I was assaulted 6-7 years ago, attacked from behind, had 6 ribs broken and part of my lung removed, and still online on a daily basis, people say they wish that it would happen to me all over again. And by sort of making light of what I suffered, they are encouraging other people to do it. And really, that ought to be taken down, and social media ought to be able to take that down. If people are saying this in their workplace, people say, oh, people have a right to say things. Well, actually, they don't necessarily have a right to say things. Many people have in their contract what we call a moral clause to their contract, or a conduct clause. My guess is you have something in your contract that says you have to behave in a certain way in public. Most people do. If you're in the military, you have a conduct code that you have to adhere to in your speech and the way you present yourself to the public. So I think it is time for this to be a crackdown on people. And like I say, it's perfectly legal and legitimate, particularly if it's part of the contract process.
That's right.
Not even look, and I've had so many contracts, good ones and bad ones. 100%, he's 100% right. If you go to work for a company the way Jimmy Kimmel does, you agree that you will get this much money. You agree that you'll get these ratings bonuses. You agree that you'll deliver this amount of content every single year or every single term, whatever it is. And the company agrees that they will do this and that. And if there's any kind of disagreement or termination, you get a payout or whatever, which Jimmy Kimmel, unfortunately, will probably get a payout, which is that's really the most disgusting thing to think about, is that Jimmy Kimmel is going to walk away with a bunch of money to not work, which I've said before, and I will say again, I have always wished that somebody, I've always wished that somebody would pay me not to work. Conan O'Brien, I remember, this is way off topic. Conan O'Brien, when he was fired from NBC because they wanted to bring Jay Leno back, they gave that guy $60 million and told him, you can't work for 18 months. I'm like, gee, however will I survive? $60 million, and you got to shut up for 18 months. I mean, I talk a lot, but I'm pretty sure I could find something to do for 18 months with $60 million. I could take up wakeboarding, or something like that, or just, or take up napping. I'd find something to do. I could make faceless videos. That's the other thing. That's the new thing now. I could start a faceless YouTube account. Oh, or I could create an AI character that's similar to me, but not me. I could use AI to voice it. With my $60 million for the next 18 months, I could probably make a really cool AI. I know people that know how to make these AI characters. Man, I could have the best AI. And I mean, I have never been able to find anybody. I don't know if you have to be really important or not important, but every time somebody pays me money, they want me to show up and do the work. It's really weird. Anyway, so Jimmy Kimmel's going to get money. He's going to get paid out, but the contract has a morals clause. They all do. Mine did. Every contract I've ever seen has a morals clause. You can bet your bottom dollar that Jimmy Kimmel's did as well. And if you act in a way that's immoral, if you bring disrepute on the company, if you create a situation where the company is suffering either in the public eye or negatively or any of those things, the company has the right to terminate you immediately. That's how they protect them. They wouldn't let you sign a contract without that in there. And it's not just contracts. Anybody who gets a job and has like a code of conduct, if you ever went to a job and they said, hey, we need you to sign these things before you go to work, and you go, okay, and you sign it, one of those things you signed is probably some kind of code of conduct. And if you go out, I mean, think about this, okay? Think about this. You work at, you work at a local, I don't know, where do you work? You work at a, what's a good kind of middle range company? I don't know, maybe you work at a local accounting firm and you go out one night and you have a bunch of beers and you get drunk and you go to a club and the bouncer at the club says you can't come in, you're drunk, and you go, what? I just know my rights, I can come in here if I want. And the bouncer says, sir, you have to leave. And you go, oh, yeah, and you take a swing at the bouncer, and then he puts you on the ground, calls the cops come and arrest you. And and then you start cussing at the cops and kicking the cops and calling the cops horrible names and mother, father, and this and that. And they throw you in jail overnight and you're mug-shotted and it's in the paper. And your company finds out that you got drunk, belligerent, tried to take a swing at a bouncer, and then resisted arrest. Oh, yes. And your mugshot and your name and where you work is plastered all over the place. If that all happens, you're probably going to get fired. Why? Well, because you brought the company bad publicity. You acted in a way that was against the company's morals and values, and they don't want to be associated with you. Freedom of association is one of the unwritten freedoms and liberties that we have thanks to the Constitution of the United States. And Rand Paul's right. Every employee signs something that makes it okay for their employee to fire them. Geraldo Rivera, who's also he's no stranger to getting fired. In fact, I think he got fired by ABC once. He was on Fox News. Was it Fox News or CNN? I don't know. He was somewhere. I think it was CNN. And he was talking about this Kimmel incident. And wouldn't you know it, surprisingly, he was not on Kimmel's side.
Get some more analysis right now. Here to discuss this, the former Fox News, the former ABC News host, former daytime talk show host, Geraldo Rivera. Geraldo, thanks very much for joining us. You and I go way back. Did ABC make the right call in pulling Jimmy Kimmel off the air, at least temporarily, after the FCC chair told the companies, quote, we can do this the easy way or the hard way? That was a clear threat.
You know, by focusing on the censorship aspect and the First Amendment aspect, I think it's losing sight of what should be the lead, and that's that Jimmy Kimmel owes the family of Charlie Kirk and his wife Erica, 2 small children, an apology. What's he saying? That if you're a member of MAGA and Charlie is a friend of MAGA, then he had it coming. It just it's in some way, it's very extremely insensitive. The country's in a very tough spot right now. Everyone's walking on eggshells. The First Amendment is not a license to incite hatred. And, I think that we can start the discussion. Once Jimmy Kimmel apologizes, then they can talk about the business aspects and whether or not he gets back on the schedule and so forth. But there's got to be a recognition that a terrible thing has happened here, and that millions of Americans are grievously hurt by what happened. There is Charlie Kirk was beloved by many, and to just tremble over it, he's not even buried yet, for goodness sake. And to make fun of the flags and half staff and so forth, I just think that we've got to look at it with a notion that the country has to be healed, that we have to work to bring people together, that we need to respect each other. We don't have to agree, but we have to respect. And I think that, the audience has deserted him for a good reason.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of, they deserted him. They deserted him because he's not funny, but also because he's a big D-bag. Speaking of not even being buried yet, which he's right. Charlie Kirk hasn't even been buried yet. And this is the way that the media is treating him. There's a big remembrance this week. Building a legacy, remembering Charlie Kirk, remarks delivered by Erica Kirk, who just, by the way, I'm just getting this breaking news, Turning Point USA, they just tweeted that they have unanimously elected Erica Kirk as the new CEO and chair of the board. In prior discussions, Charlie expressed to multiple executives that this is what he wanted in the event of his death. I'm going to pull this up real quick because it is I want to read the whole thing from Turning Point USA. Hold on, I gotta get to the right screen here. Oh, here it is. Perfect. Erica Kirk announcement. In Ecclesiastes, King Solomon wrote that mankind is to be tested by God. Today we are facing such a test, yet we also know that God has prepared us with everything we need to overcome this ordeal. It was the honor of our lives to serve as board members at Charlie's side. Charlie prepared all of us for a moment like this one. He worked tirelessly to ensure Turning Point USA was built to survive even the greatest tests. And now it is our great pride to announce Erica Kirk as the new CEO and chair of the board for Turning Point USA. All of us at Turning Point USA have a special role in carrying Charlie Kirk's mantle and completing his vision of bringing us all closer to our Lord and fostering a prosperous country for generations to come. As Charlie always said, we have a country to save. We will not surrender or kneel before evil. We will carry on. The attempt to destroy Charlie's work will become our chance to make it more powerful and enduring than ever before. May God bless Erica, the Kirk family, and the entire team at Turning Point USA. That was just announced. Also, as we said before, there is this, here it is. There's this announcement of this weekend's ceremony honoring Charlie Kirk with Erica Kirk, President Donald Trump, and Vice President J.D. Vance headlining. Also in attendance, Secretary, I mean, you want to talk about somebody who truly changed America, who truly had a pivotal role in our government and in saving America. Look at the lineup here. The President, the Vice President, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, Director of National Security Tulsi Gabbard, Donald Trump Jr., Tucker Carlson, Stephen Miller, Sergio Gore, Suzanne Scott. More names to be announced. This is all happening September 21st. Fightforcharlie.com is the website, and that is his memorial service. But yeah, Geraldo's right in this instance. He hasn't even been buried yet. And this is how the media is treating him. And the media they are not being fired by Donald Trump. They are not, what was it that Eric Swalwell said here? Eric Swalwell said that Donald Trump was firing his favorite comedian.
Funny and go on his network and entertain Americans. It's a part of who we are, John, and frankly, it should shake every American that the President of the United States is out there firing comedians who make fun of him.
That's not what's happening. Donald Trump isn't firing comedians who make fun of him. The United States of America has fired Jimmy Kimmel. The United States of America, the voters, the Christians, the patriots, the MAGA crowd, they're the ones that have fired Jimmy Kimmel. We fired Jimmy Kimmel for making fun of us. The president had absolutely nothing to do with it. Here in just a minute, I got Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen on the line. He's going to be joining us here in just a second. But for those of you that don't know, we have a couple times a week, depending on the schedule and how late we want to run, we have an after party in our Catriot Club. And this is our Catriot Club. It's an exclusive online hangout for liberty-loving, freedom-defending Catriots from around the globe. We give you the entertainment, the information, the inspiration you need. We do it right here from Mar-a-Lago. It's right. We basically, the show ends, we go to the Catriot Club, and anyone who's a member can join us. And it's another 30 to 45 minutes of this. It's really cool and it's really exciting. And you are invited to join us. It's only $10 a month too, which is quite a bargain. And if you get a year's subscription up front, you get 2 months free. So I urge you, because as soon as we're going to talk to Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen, because he's got late breaking news on Donald Trump, the poll numbers, the way that the Charlie Kirk incident has been polling, the future of the country. So I want to get him on, but I do want to remind you immediately after that, we are going to be regrouping in our Catriot Club, and we hope you join us for that. Got one of my favorite people on the line, Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen Reports, who has great news, good news, better news, I guess you could say, about President Donald Trump. Some of the numbers. Last time we spoke, I think we were just chit-chatting about this, was Epstein, the Epstein Files debacle. It was right after TPUSA, I think, as a matter of fact, when the Epstein mess started and Pam Bondi was rumored to be out, and Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk were on stage talking about how Pam Bondi should be out. Dan Bongino was rumored to be quitting, and that really, Donald Trump took a hit with that. But Mark, first of all, welcome back. Tell us what the numbers are looking like today.
Well, Mark, great to be back. Thanks for the kind welcome. Yeah, Donald Trump's numbers are doing really well in June. Mm-hmm. We had Gavin Newsom acting like an absolute clown, trying to defend the riots going on in LA, and there are all these people doing brinksmanship over ICE and standing proud for their sanctuary cities. And imagine that. Those things aren't popular. And Trump was like net +8. Well, fast forward a month to the middle of July, and he was underwater 4 points. So that's a 12-point shift, a pretty big collapse. And the only things that really happened are he signed the one big beautiful bill.
Yeah.
Nobody cared. Or it hurt him because it looked like a DC abortion. And then, Israel bombed Iran. I think that probably derailed him a little bit. And this Epstein thing. And people say, oh, Epstein, trust Trump. And no, people don't trust their institutions. They saw the FBI raid Mar-a-Lago like the Gestapo. Just because you put Kash Patel there doesn't mean they're going to believe everything he says.
Right.
And Pam Bondi has had some problems with her messaging. And she came out and said the case was closed, and like only 16% of America agrees with her. So I said, like, this is not going to go away.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the entire time, Trump's approval has been kicking around between -4, and I think it never got higher than 0. Maybe got to +1 once. Now all of a sudden he's +4 today, and so that's a big uptick. It hasn't been there since July 1st, and I think I can only point to the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Yeah.
And the other thing that moved is we poll every day on whether the country's headed in the right direction or whether it got off on the wrong track. Right direction has been setting records for being higher than 40% for Trump's entire second term. The biggest string we ever had was 7 weeks in a row. That was also under Trump, by the way. And it's been between 45 and 50% almost this entire time. Well, it's plunged 5 points in 3 days. And Republican right direction has dropped 10 points. So I think what we're seeing is a realignment of people looking around and saying, wait a minute, there's something going on in the country. Something is the problem here. And I don't think they're looking at Trump and saying, oh, he's doing great things.
Yeah.
I think it's like the problems we have are bigger than we thought, I think is the signal we're seeing.
So right direction, because Donald Trump being his approval rating going up is an individual approval rating. Right direction could mean a lot of different. It's right, it's left, it's pretty much everything going on in the country politically. Is that right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You could have Donald Trump doing well from a job performance perspective and have right direction at 20%.
Got it.
When does that kind of thing happen? Well, COVID.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing happens, right?
Right.
But we polled on Charlie Kirk too, and how concerned are you about political violence in America? It's 90%. That's the highest. It's higher than inflation. I don't think I've ever seen 90% numbers recently. So this is a big problem, and including a lot of Democrats are really concerned. Many of them think that MAGA are violent extremists, obviously, but whether or not there's going to be more political violence in the next few months, 85% likely, 48% vary. And then also Trump's quote about, he hit on Fox News, Fox and Friends, after the assassination. He said, it's long past time for all Americans in the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequences of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year. And 85% of America agrees with that too, including 85% of Democrats. Democrats agree with that.
Wow.
So that's the thing, is like you have all these insane people on Reddit and TikTok cheering Charlie Kirk's assassination. Those people are not the majority. That's just what the algorithm pushes.
That's a real fringe group, yeah.
Yeah. And yet that mentality has captured most of the Democrat movement. That's the problem.
Is there any polling, or have you seen anything in your reporting about the people that are getting fired? Because now you're getting into this. People are misquoting the First Amendment. Congress has not done anything to Jimmy Kimmel or to Office Depot. Congress has not done anything to this nurse or any of these teachers that are getting fired because they're celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. But do you see any polling or information about whether people agree that your public persona or what you do in your personal life can have an adverse effect on your professional life, and that's okay in this instance?
What I can say is, like, if you polled on the First Amendment, Americans would be like, yeah, cool, I love the First Amendment.
Right.
But then if you say, well, should there be limits because of hate speech, a decent chunk, like 40, 45, I forget the number, of America would be like, oh, yeah, we don't want to offend people. Hating's bad. And so let's limit first. And they did, because a majority of Democrats wanted to imprison people who question the efficacy of vaccines.
Yes.
So they think there's limits on speech, and the right is pro free speech, obviously. But celebrating the murder of a family man, that's not illegal. That is First Amendment speech, but that's society's job to hold them accountable, which is what society used to do before Clown World destroyed it. And so, like, we are also going to crack down on illegal speech now because they've declared Antifa terrorist organization.
I know.
Yep, they're going after Reddit and they're going after Hassan Piker on Twitch. They're gonna finally break the vacuum on the dark web of insane left-wing radicalization.
Yeah.
Under the guise of Antifa, but yeah, now the left is calling that fascism and they finally found the fascism that they wanted.
Yeah.
But as far as the celebrating, we have a celebration question in the field. I'll try and crunch it in the background and get a quick preview. Whether or not this is understandable. And I think what we're going to see is that there's fewer people than before on the left are insane because we've done this kind of thing. 34% of Democrats think that the Luigi Mangio murder was understandable because of the high price of health care.
Right.
And some other pollsters have found like 28% of Democrats think it would have been better if the Butler assassin hadn't missed. So there's this chunk of 30 or 40%.
I mean, that's
Democrats,
a huge number of
all.
people. You're talking about, I mean, that's millions of people out there that feel that way.
Well, yeah. Mark Halperin said this the best after the election, that this would be the largest mental health crisis in the history of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Because the gaslighting, just to sit back and breathe in how big and deep and pervasive all of these lies have been in order for not the left, but the establishment to maintain control. And the 18 to 29s have been the most lied to generation, I think, of any ever. The amount of stuff that the CIA and the Color Revolution playbook or whatever put these people through. And they all are permanently online in places where, like, if you go to Reddit, it is an insane left-wing Marxist tranny monoculture.
100%.
And that's where kids go.
Yeah.
Because that's where like 20 years ago, you could go to a bulletin board if you were into like building model ships. Now the biggest community for building model ships is on Reddit, and it's overrun with insane Marxist trannies that have furry fetishes and all this other stuff.
That is, well, you know, I mean, that's the thing. When you have a cult, you put everybody in a group and you indoctrinate them, and that's what we're starting to see. Hassan Piker, by the way, was supposed to debate Charlie Kirk next week at Dartmouth College. And I know that, well, the event's been canceled, obviously, but I was shocked, first of all, that was happening. And I've been a little bit, I've been a little bit shocked about some of the things that he's been saying since then. But yeah, it looks like he'll be finally, brought under wraps a little bit, kind of like Jimmy Kimmel was last night. Something else you mentioned was before Charlie Kirk, there was Irina Zarutska in Charlotte. And this crazy dude who never should have been out there. They had the 14 different, mug shots plastered all over Fox News. And he's now facing murder charges. You've got Tyler Robinson facing the death penalty by firing squad in Utah, which is poetic justice. You have numbers about the American appetite for or desire for execution. You're saying that in the wake of all of this political violence, that's also shifting, right?
Yeah, that's a big deal. I thought the Irina Zarutska thing was horrifying and captured the nation's attention. And then the 1-2 punch of them seeing the same kind of imagery with Charlie Kirk. There was something different about this case, though, just absolute wantonness of the murder, the brutality, the fact that it was all caught on video. Mm-hmm. The fact that, like, literally this woman would still be alive if she had just stayed in war-torn Kiev is just absolutely insane. And then the fact that, again, this guy, complete revolving door of justice here, the Democrat policies really caused this. And then the Democrats to lie about this. I think that this is going to play into the Roy Cooper Senate run because his first reaction was to come out and blame law enforcement. But law enforcement arrested this guy 14 times. It's not a law enforcement problem. It's the fact that the way Democrats run their cities is that everything is a grift. Mm-hmm. And this guy had been turned into a grift too. Now, you could say he had mental problems, but, I think like our constitutional rights and what's in the Bill of Rights don't guarantee that our right to a fair jury trial of our peers, also says that, well, you get off scot-free if you have a mental condition, right?
Yeah.
And so this guy right now, this is the problem. The polling said, and this is a key question because people, their empathy, their ideas of justice, their anger, these are like core held beliefs. And so if I ask you, do you support the death penalty or not, that tells you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Death penalty was 49 to 36 last time we polled. That's plus 13. The stat poll we did after Irina Zarutska, plus 40. So that's a 27-point shift towards the death penalty. People wanted the death penalty for DeCarlos Brown 60 to 20%, including plus 20 among Democrats, plus 65 among Republicans. But the wild one is, like, we asked people if they saw a picture of her or not, and the picture from the train, and 62% of America did. That's a big number.
Wow.
And of the ones that did, it was death penalty was 73 to 14.
So if you saw the photo, and that was a photo, that was a whole story that they tried to cover up. I mean, if it wasn't for alternative media, if it wasn't for the internet, that story never would. I mean, Donald Trump and Caroline Leavitt were the first people nationally to mention it, and then the media picked up on it. And you're saying after that, 62% of people in the country saw that. That tells me that President Donald Trump and the White House press secretary are the real purveyors of news in this country, basically.
Well, that's the trend, is that one of the problems here, and one of the reasons that they've been getting progressively more radical, is because CNN and MSNBC are losing their grip on their narrative. And as you can see, like, people are dropping like flies. Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, maybe Hassan Piker's going to get banned.
The View, knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
That'll be the next one. Well, that's what that
would be beautiful.
I mean, it's all ABC. So with all of this, we have to talk about the midterms, of course, because, well, I have a personal interest in it. But with the midterms, with all that's going on, the crime, Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, all these DeCarlos, are all of these pushing people more toward maintaining Republican control of the House of Representatives, or are the Democrats seizing on any of this? Is any of what they're saying permeating? Where do we stand as far as the House? Is it going to flip like it does 97% of the time, or are the Republicans, with redistricting and everything else, going to be able to kind of maintain their grip?
Before I do, I got the preview of those numbers. This is 2 nights out of 3 nights of polling, so it'll change a little bit, but which is closer to your opinion? Charlie Kirk was peacefully and respectfully debating people, and it's a tragedy he was murdered, or Charlie Kirk was speaking hateful words and his murder was tragic but understandable. 61 to 25 among all likely voters, so 25% say that his murder was understandable, tragic but understandable. Wow. And among Democrats, it's 42 to 36.
42% of Democrats say that Charlie Kirk's death was tragic but understandable.
No, the 42 is he was respectfully debating people.
Oh, I see.
And it was a tragedy he was murdered. 36, he was speaking hateful words, and his murder was tragic but understandable. So his hate made his murder understandable. And 36% of Democrats.
That's more than a third.
Yep.
That's 1 in 3.
Yeah. And I guess the silver lining to this cloud is that most Democrats aren't like this. But if you look, I've been saying this, on the right, the voting base of Donald Trump is pretty unified in what they believe and what they want. It's the apparatus that's not unified. It's like MAGA and the RNC are going to increasingly be at a civil war over the next year or two.
Yeah.
On the Democrat side, all of the levers of power want the same thing, but the voters are like, what's going on here? And I hope they wake up. And I think, well, this is leading into the midterm question. Yeah, the House should flip to the Democrats. History tells us that, and now the polling tells us that too. The last generic ballot I had was Democrat +4. I think we're putting out a joint poll with some other pollsters this week that has Democrats more something like a +2. That means probably a marginal Dem pickup, and they'll probably gain the House. And then there's a whole lot of caveats, which is a lot changed this week. A lot of people are signing up.
Right.
Maybe the Republicans will actually do something.
Right.
Maybe Trump will go after mail-in ballots. Maybe they're going to arrest people and act blue. So the problem is that it's like MAGA has captured what most Americans want. It's mostly like 60-35 stuff. But the lies, the blue team, red team stuff, the people who are just idiots, like keep the country locked pretty close to 50-50. Problem is, midterms is that Republican voters are lower propensity now.
Yeah.
It's people that hadn't voted before. Over 40% of Trump support came from independents and Democrats who are disaffected. They might not convert to Republicans. And I don't think the Republican Party knows or cares or is doing anything about that. And it's like, great for Mike Johnson to have a prayer vigil for Charlie Kirk. But the Democrats would have shoved something down America's throat this week, and the Republicans are not.
Yeah.
And what should those kind of things be? All of the problems with the country that we all know, like why do we not have voter ID? Why have we not like reversed the Smith modernization? Like all of Trump's executive orders that have not been codified, and we're entering another, basically another debate over the debt ceiling. And
well, and a simple arrest.
Football,
I mean, people are saying we want arrests. We want arrests in Epstein. We want arrests in January 6th. We want arrests from COVID. Nobody's been arrested. Nobody's even been charged. And a lot of people, I think, are getting kind of sick and tired of that. They're talking about George Soros every time. George Soros, Antifa. Now we're going to bring him in on RICO charges, but that hasn't happened yet either. And I think that you're right. That's the thing. They're always threatening us with, but they're never delivering.
Well, that's exactly the problem. Is that Trump said that Antifa was a domestic terror organization in 2020. And then for the next 5 years, including up until last week, the FBI still was prioritizing, as far as I can tell, conservative organizations. That's the problem, is that they just this week, they're like, oh, maybe it's time to look into these Antifa people. Well, guess what? If you go on Reddit to the 120,000 subscriber anti-fascists of Reddit subreddit, there are links on the front page to the dark web, to communities, to Discord chats where these people go and plan stuff. It's the most easy to infiltrate thing in the world.
Yeah, it's right there.
And we had Elon Musk and Doge literally like following the trails of NGO money directly to the organizations that fund all this stuff. And the freaking Republicans shoved them in a ditch because they wanted to get their 3,000 page, favors come due and payable bill through Congress. And it's absolutely disgusting. And so Americans are right to probably be angry and expect more out of the Republican Party. And Trump's been trying to put a good face on it. But what I think is happening is that we're basically, we're at the end. This is the fourth turning. All of this individualistic behavior and the decay of society is catching up with us. And I think we're probably in the beginning of the time period where people predictably were going to realize that the problems we have are too big for Trump to fix. And the fact that Kash Patel at the head of the FBI for 6 months could have done something to prevent this assassination and wasn't even, as far as we can tell, trying. I don't know. He says there's 1,700 investigations into domestic terrorist organizations.
Right. So, by the way, for those people that haven't read The Fourth Turning, it's basically the collapse of society as we know it. The good news is that on the other side of that, we start over and fresh. So, I guess that's something to look forward to.
Yeah. And people don't understand this. Like 72% of America identifies as Christian.
Yeah.
Over 70% say that religion is an important part of their daily life. And they look around at the church and say, oh, isn't it so sad? People are now becoming non-religious. It's like, well, no, if you have an astute view of history, you know these things are cyclical.
Right.
And there were periods in our past where people just weren't that religious. Now, they're culturally, they may have been schooled on the Bible, but they weren't going to church. They didn't care. And then the Civil War happens.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, there's a Methodist revival. And so the good news is that these problems will fix themselves by society because humans need order. And the question is what happens that's bad enough to get us, into a place where every military-age male in America lines up around the block in front of a recruiter to go save America.
Yeah,
because that's what happened in 1939, right?
Yeah.
1940.
Is there something that you see on the horizon? So with with the media and what's happening with the media, because this could go either way. The Democrats could win the First Amendment debate, even though, these are all private organizations that have the First Amendment right to hire and fire as whoever they want for whatever reason they want. Or is this something that, with your early sights that you're looking at, the Republicans can still win just because of what happened with Charlie Kirk, and that most of these First Amendment battles that we're seeing now are because somebody got assassinated?
I mean, that's the question.
Yeah.
I don't know where any of this is going, but to try and assess where we're at is that I think the problem is on the left. They'll look at somebody like Hassan Piker, who may be getting banned from Twitch, and they'll look at somebody like Jimmy Kimmel, and they'll think that those two are the same thing. And those two are not quite the same. One was lying. The other is a call to violence.
Right.
And yet they'll say that both of them are protected free speech and that it's signs that Republicans are fascist. And so for whatever reason, the flywheels of the leftist narrative, I think, are going to continue to hammer on accelerationist, anti-fascist, Trump's a dictator stuff, because it's all they have, because he's got a better platform than them. I don't think a single Democrat can come out there and lay out a platform that people will authentically believe that will work for the middle class of America, other than we're just going to redistribute all the wealth. Like, what do they really have?
Yeah.
And that's why Bernie Sanders does pretty well in matchups against J.D. Vance, but none of the other Democrats really do. So there's that. But on the right, it's like, well, the Overton window is still moving left. People are becoming more accepting of things like LGBT, unfortunately, and that's because older, more conservative people are dying off.
Right.
And the youth, everybody says the youth are more conservative. They're not. They voted more Trump than everybody expected. But I did the polling, and these people are absolute commies. And positive views of free market capitalism are down to 54%, according to Gallup.
Even among Trump, even among Trump voters, do you like the crowd that goes and votes for Trump? Yes. They're still anti-capitalist.
Self-ID'd 18 to 39-year-old Trump voters.
Yeah.
Like over 70% of them want major industries nationalized. Over 50% of them want wealth confiscation, excess wealth confiscation, and only 1/3 of them said no to having income caps.
Well, that's a problem.
So, yeah, it is a problem, because if Trump can't fix these, their politics are, this system that was built by our elders does not work for us, and so we are nihilistic and biding our time. And that's not a good place for the youth to be, because 17% unemployment rate, according to my numbers, if that goes much higher, or if they get inflamed over something, these, maybe then we're like Nepal. I don't know, where they're burning down the parliament. So that's the problem. Like, they're escapist right now, but you have people like this 22-year-old kid who's an escapist. Now, this guy was smart. This guy that assassinated Charlie Kirk, my understanding was he got like a really good scholarship to a pretty decent school, and he got good grades and stuff like that. But he dropped out because he wanted to play video games and hang out with the trans and surf around on Reddit and be a part of a different community. And that's a problem, because I think a lot of young people are like that. Like, I was brought up with, Vietnam vet Boy Scout troop leaders.
Right.
Not like 35-year-old anonymous groomers online trying to convince me to stick stuff in my rear. So we're in a dark place. And if these people can't get Donald Trump, they're going to go into the arms of maybe Bernie Sanders, because he polled really well among these people.
I was about to say, for 2028, is Bernie Sanders still, is he leading the Democrat Party? Is Gavin Newsom floating around up there? Who are we looking at that's going to be, that the Democrats are going to run as an enticing figure for these people?
Well, don't worry about Bernie Sanders' age, because these people had no qualms covering for Biden and then immediately accusing Trump of having age issues.
Yes.
I think he has a lot of name ID, and I think people don't understand his policies, but like the idea of eating the rich. If you look at the polling, Kamala Harris is still the front runner among Democrats, but she's nowhere to be found.
Right.
So she's going to lose that. So, like, this is their problem, is like, long term, the Democrats are kind of screwed from the political perspective of, like, well, we're going to have the 2030 census. It's going to pick up all of the people that fled blue states.
Right.
We might correct the 2020 census. We might deport a whole lot of illegals. Red states are less gerrymandered than blue states. And also their national leadership picture is kind of a joke. Like Newsom's the next biggest name under Kamala Harris, but she still beats him 3-1 among Democrats. But he's got a ceiling. We've had him in a lot of matchups. I don't think I've ever seen him get a number higher than 40%. So J.D. Vance should smoke that guy once he gets a little bit more name ID. The problem, again, is 2026, and there's so many things that make it impossible to predict. But what I can tell you is the Republicans are not doing the right thing to convert Donald Trump voters into the Republican platform. And you know the system. It's hopeless. I don't want to be a doomer, but there is zero hope that the Republican Party is going to reform itself to focus on economic populism. And they have to, because they've perennially been the party of big business. Now, I know the Democrats were rapidly cozied up to big tech because of the authoritarian aspects of it. But you and I both know that every single senator basically is bought and purchased by a large industry or corporation.
Well, Bernie Sanders literally said that in the Senate. He said everyone here was bought out by Big Pharma. Everyone here took money from Pfizer.
Yeah, including Senator John Thune, the majority leader of the Republican Party, who as a minority whip, not yet elected leader, had personal private donations from the CEOs of 3 pharmaceutical companies way back in February 2022. So yeah, this is a problem, is that the American middle class has finally been pushed too far. And on top of the fourth turning, everything has been stolen from us. And we haven't even begun to realize the amount of emotional wreckage and damage that's being done to 18 to 29-year-olds. Because most people would say, oh, I'll just take my kids out of public school and homeschool them and they'll be fine. It's like, well, if you let them on Reddit, if you let them on the wrong game communities, they're craving something. And it's like, well, a close-knit community with Christian ideals and strong institutions is not there for them. They have grown up in a very different world. So, like, fourth turning, like that. I mean, these problems aren't going to fix themselves. Americans have to fix it.
All right. Well, that's a positive way to go out. Mark Mitchell, Rasmussen Reports. Follow him on Honest Pollster on X, Honest Pollster. And hey, man, listen, thanks so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. And we'll check back in a few months. Maybe it'll be the collapse of society, and we'll have polling on what the new society should be, or we'll have some better news about the future. But hey, either way, thanks so much for sharing everything you know.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have some good news. It'll probably be something like Donald Trump just stormed Chicago with the National Guards, was Pritzker putting the state troopers in the line of fire to stop them, like approve or disapprove. It'll probably be something like that. We're gonna have blue state secessionists or something.
Yeah, that is. You know what? I'm okay. I'm all about that. We should run a poll on secession. Which state should be first? I think that California, I'd be all about. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Mark Mitchell, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. Go to Honest Pollster on X if you want to join it. And look, there are people out there who are part of the problem, and most of them are elected officials, and that's why we need to elect officials who are not part of the problem, who aren't taking the money from these other organizations like Bernie Sanders is. And, Mark's a good guy. He's got a lot of truth. He's got a lot of facts. He maybe has a more realistic outlook on the world than some people. I tend to be an optimist and positive, and I believe that if we get the right people in the right places, we can make change. Some people call me stupid for that. Other people say, yes, I agree. I concur. I would like to help you in that campaign. And if you're one of those people, we're going to need all the help we can in our campaign because we're running for Congress in less than a year. The website address is markkforcongress.com, markkforcongress.com. And you can go there, you can make any size, you can make a Bernie Sanders size donation of like $1 or $5 or whatever, or you can make a great big, big pharma size donation of $3,500. We would love anything at all that you can do for us so that we can get those good, strong, powerful, conservative, combative, capitalist voices to Capitol Hill. I know that they're spelled differently, but they're both important because I think it is very important that the youth of America understands that capitalism is the key to success and not what's keeping them from it. That's a Democrat narrative. And if they're able to if they're able to control the youth in that way, then we are going to have a much bigger fight to fight than we ever have had before. Listen, thank you so much for joining me today. Thanks again to Mark for joining us. I know he's very busy polling everybody, but it's great to get his insights. 33% of Democrats think that it was okay to kill Charlie Kirk. That's 1 in 3. That's 25 million people believe that, yeah, it was fine. It was all right. It was somewhat justified. Very scary world we live in. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you're getting the notification. So every time there's big news about who's coming at you, who's attacking you, the lies that are being told to you, you can get the truth. You can get the truth and the information and the inspiration that you need so that you and I can continue every single day to wake up energized and excited to fight every foe so that we can today, tomorrow, and always save the Republic. The after party begins at the Catriot Club. Go to Catriots.com right now and join Catriots.com right now to join